Hello again! This is my next video. So in this video I'm going to show you my approach on the Crypt Lord Ant-Man in Warcraft 3. That's one of my favorite games. Maybe yours as well, but just saying. Right, so I'm gonna show you a pre-recorded video of myself trying to do the Crypt Lord lines. I've selected 3 lines because I'm not gonna do all of them, obviously. And we're going there now.
Speak. 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 I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons. My might cannot be matched. My might cannot be matched. I'll consume the living and the dead. I'll consume the living and the dead. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yes, I will consume. Hello again! Those were the lines. Now I'm going to select them. So we are here in the program. Let's just hear the Crypt Lord's lines.
Speak. I have heard the summons. My might cannot be matched. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Ah, amazing! Alright, so I have pre-selected something here, some things here, but I wanted to do a couple more with you because that's what the video is all about. Selecting, sound design, voiceover. Alright, so first line, speak.
Speak.
Second line,
I have heard the summons.
nah, kinda, but I think the next one is better.
My might cannot be matched. I'll consume the living and the dead. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Alright, I like this one better because there's a lot more bass to it than this.
I'll consume the living and the dead. And the dead.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yeah, so he's saying and the dead. I'm not saying that, I'm saying the dead. I'm just killing it right away, but that doesn't matter. What matters is in the end for the sound to be like him. We all have different accents and different ways of saying stuff. Alright, so I'm discarding that.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
I like the first one more because there's a lot of more mystic to it, a lot more like suspense in the voice here. But we'll hear the other ones and then we're gonna decide. But for now, it's my favorite.
I have heard the summons.
Ooh, that one. Alright. Alright.
I'll consume the living and the dead. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Right.
Speak. I have heard the summons. My might cannot be matched. I'll consume the living and the dead. I'll consume the living and the dead.
I'll try to get the living from here because there's a lot more bass to it. Replace it here.
I'll consume the living and...
Yeah, because I just get out of breath here.
consume the living and the dead.
First time.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Nice. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna glue this. Right.
I have heard the summons.
I really like this one.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
Okay, let's hear that guy.
I have heard the summons.
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 Yeah, he's doing it more active. So in that case, maybe I like this one, the more subtle one. But in that case, we're gonna take this one because it's more active. So it really will give us that energy later.
My might cannot be matched.
My might cannot be matched.
My might cannot be matched.
Alright, this is the most bad line. I suck at it here, but we got the other three, so doesn't really matter. Alright, so we got our 4 lines. Now I'm gonna glue them all together, and we're going to RX. Open items in RX. Alright, first thing, if you're listening with good headphones, you hear the background noise. First, I am gonna remove the background noise with spectral denoise. Learn, then we're selecting it all. Render, as I said before, my settings are customized for my room. You gotta customize your own settings if you are using RX or whatever, but you always have to remove the background noise. It's impossible to not have one. You know what I'm talking about. After that, I'm going to mouth declick everything. I do not hear any mouth clicks, but just to be sure. Run this. Now we're gonna silence everything between the lines with Shift and S. Deplosion. Flip.
My might cannot be matched.
Nice.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Alright.
Speak. Speak.
My hair blows your fear as well.
Speak.
Alright. Okay, saving it. Leaving RX. Here it is. Brand new record. Ready to ship. Next step, we are going into sound design.
Speak.
Speak.
Alright, first we're starting with speak. Work, work. First thing I do is pitch down. Okay, pitching down using the pitch monster. Pitch 2 semitones because my voice here is low. And we don't want to pitch it that much.
Speak.
Speak.
That's a little bit higher.
Speak. Speak. Speak.
Speak.
Speak.
Yeah, that's the tone. Right, I'm gonna widen it a little bit.
Speak.
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 Duplicating. What I also hear,
Speak.
there's a reverb because maybe, just maybe, he's talking from a cavern, something like that, where he's hiding, just waiting for some guy to show up and for him to catch him in his web. So we're gonna try to recreate a cavern, but not too much. Not too much. Okay. Echoes, dryness. Let's see how it sounds.
Speak.
Ooh, too much, baby.
Speak.
It just ends. It doesn't have a tail. Is reverb. Alright, so we are using meta filter from Waves. Crushed it a little bit, about 15%, no drive. Let's level up the smoothness a little bit.
Speak.
Yeah, it's better. So let's hear without the effect.
Speak.
And with the effect.
Speak.
Alright, so now we're gonna duplicate the track and do the parallel compression for more power.
I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
Summons. Let's see what you've heard, my man. Pitch. Gonna lower it up one semitone just to see.
I have heard the summons.
I've heard the summons.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
Right, we're gonna keep it at 2.
I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
Alright. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the matte filter again. Matte flanger.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
And now we're gonna do the meta filter as well. Crush it a little bit. Do this. Beep. It's a little bit too low.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
Right. Now we're gonna duplicate the track. Go in, try to supercharge this shit. Supercharger.
I have heard the summons.
Right. And I'm gonna do the reverb as well. Maybe try some other settings. Maybe we'll come up with a better reverb this time.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons. Speak.
I'm gonna try to do another pitch here because the pitch of the voice isn't exactly the same, and that way it sounds like it doesn't sound right. So I'm gonna play with a pitch and then try to mix them all together to get the feeling of the Warcraft 3 Crypt Lord.
I've heard the summons. I've heard the I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons.
I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons. I have heard the summons.
I still hear like a woolery thing, but I'll go to the next line and we'll fix it on the way. Just quick note, when I started making sound design, I don't know when, but I was really focused on doing a thing perfect. And for instance, if you have a big project and you're focusing on one little part, that's maybe you're doing a game with, I don't know, 50 lines, or maybe you're doing a movie, like a 30 minutes, 1 hour movie, and you're focusing on a moment that's like 5-10 seconds, and you're not wasting time on it, but you're investing a lot of time on it. It's better for you to move on to do the other stuff, and then in the process you'll get back to it, or maybe an idea will come, you can fix it up in the process, instead of just grinding on that thing, and it's, for me at least, didn't work, because we as humans just want to do stuff perfectly, and sometimes that's impossible, or sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. And yeah, if you want to try it. It works. I'm sure it will work for you, and at least you do the work. You do work. It may be not 100% the way you imagine it, but at least you get somewhere, and then you can sleep on it, and then you do the work another day, and in the end you do it. All right, getting back to it again. Right, so
My might cannot be matched.
oh, that's the most fucked up line. I don't know if I'm just gonna skip that line. Maybe I'm just gonna leave it for later.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yeah, this voice actor does something that's a little bit more on the throat. Oh, consume that. And I didn't do that, so yeah, it's not gonna sound exactly the same as him, but I'm gonna try. So pitch down, of course. Pitch monster.
I'll consume the living and the dead. I'll consume the living and the dead.
What spread and pitch does is that it takes the tones from around the semitone that you got nailed it to, so it's a lot more richer in the end. Sometimes that works for some sound design, sometimes doesn't. In this case, it does work.
I've heard the summons. Speak. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy the metal flanger on this. Gonna copy the metal filter as well, and the reverb. I'm not sure about the reverb, but I'm gonna do it, and I can easily delete it later. Consume.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yeah, this reverb doesn't fit. I'm gonna try some halls, maybe.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yeah, I think we got it. Gonna tweak it up a little bit, but yeah, we're nearly here.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I don't sound like that guy, and I'm obviously not in Blizzard, but I think that we got it. Alright, so I'm gonna copy this.
I've heard the summons.
Yeah, I'm doing it a lot more bass-like. This guy doesn't, in this particular voice, doesn't have so much of a bass, but I think that if Blizzard made Warcraft 3 today, they'll maybe do it like this, or at least I will, if I'm a sound designer, because it's a lot more power-ish. So I like this bassy thing better. I'm going to tune it down a little bit later, but yeah, I think it's more intimidating to find an ant in a cave that has this voice, more bassy voice. Alright, so I copied the reverb that we did in the third line to all the other ones. It sounds a lot more like his reverb.
I've heard the summons. Speak. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Alright, so now we're gonna duplicate this. Alright, so my program crashed and now I forgot to save. So I did what I think I did. So now I'm gonna copy the reverb to the other reverb just to replace them with it. Copying the reverb and listening.
Speak. I have heard the summons. I'll consume the living and the dead.
Yeah, the third one sounds a lot more down than the others.
I'll consume the living and the dead.
And now we're gonna copy it. You gotta name your files. Sometimes I forget to do it, but nonetheless, you gotta do it. You gotta do it, man. Suck it! Okay. Alright, so that's it. It's not as good as Blizzard have done it. I'm not that happy with it, so to say, but it all comes from my voice. I thought of it, how I would do it. I did it a couple of times, but it sounds pretty similar, but not quite. And now gonna listen to it again. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, stay tuned. If you want something from me, you can always reach back. I'm open to any suggestions of other voices and movies and so on. So yeah, thank you for watching. The end, voice.
Speak. I have heard the summons. I'll consume the living and the dead.
My attempt.
Speak. I have heard the summons. I'll consume the living and the dead.